me 65 years to get here.
I want to show, like, if I can do this, I want to show other young women in the hood, y'all don't have to do that. Y'all don't have to stay there in a place that's being shot up.
Africa Unboxed.
Nothing more, nothing less. Just like Martin Luther King Day is a military game. Anytime we can force the people whose rules we live under to recognize something, then that's a military game because it's something that they didn't want to recognize. They never wanted to recognize Martin Luther King's birthday in January, and they didn't want to recognize Black History Month in February, and they didn't want to recognize the commemoration of the day that people lied to the people in Texas that they were quote-unquote free. Because the same people who told them that they were free on June 19th still completely controlled them on June 20th. And we must always remember that we are in a military situation, and the military situation is not over yet. But any type of game that we can make is a good game. The mere fact that we're even here now, period, regardless of whether we celebrate Juneteenth here or not, the mere fact that we're even here is a military game. And anything that we can bring over here to give them a better understanding of what we deal with in the POW camp for Africans that you call America. Anything that we can give them to let them better understand us, because the world needs to understand the situation that we are in.
I think it's important for us to commemorate, not necessarily celebrate, commemorate Juneteenth to remind us that in America we are still behind enemy lines. You understand? And our people in Texas found out a year later because of our lack of communication with one another. But black soldiers came and told them a year before that they were free. But they didn't necessarily believe that because they hadn't been told it by everybody else, and it wasn't a big thing. So media is extremely important for us as a people. Extremely important. The Jews 10 years ago brought up just about all black publications. So we have a lack of black media when it comes to our representation as a people. But when it comes to us learning about Juneteenth, it's extremely important for us to teach people that this is not our 4th of July. So we want to commemorate but not celebrate. Because nobody can give us freedom. You understand? If you study the 4th of July, white folks died and went to war for the freedom that they have in America and for their country. There's some of us who say we're foundational black Americans and it's our country. But until you're willing to die and go to war for it, for your cause, because we fought in every war for America to make sure that their causes and their agenda has been pushed forward. So we have to make sure that when we're talking about Juneteenth, we talk about any of these particular holidays that follow us as a people, even Martin Luther King's holiday, we have to actually be in a position as a people to be willing to die for the progression of our people. And Juneteenth is just a reminder for us of a work that we still have to do. So being here in Ghana is definitely progressive, but we've been in Ghana for over 30, 40 years. So we also have a different type of fight and issue here in Ghana as diasporians, because citizenship is real. When our people left here 400 or 500 years ago, they had land, you understand, they had educational systems, they had things. So when we're asking for things as diasporians, let's not forget that our people had stuff before we left, and we want those things back. You understand? So we love our brothers from Ghana, and we love that they're learning about who we are, but we also got to be mindful that they haven't been taught who they are. So in this process, we are all not just old Africans, we are new Africans. You understand? We can't just be black people, we can't be British people with black skin, we can't be American people with black skin. You understand? We have to truly be Africans in order for us to do that. We have to be new Africans. Because we have to relearn who we are. All right? So that's my reading for the class. Juneteenth is extremely important because it's a part of the process of us relearning who we are. Peace and power.
Thank you. The next question that I wanted to throw out is, what is freedom to you? What does freedom mean to you?
Well, as a former, retired teacher, I taught in the middle school for like a few years. I taught in high school for 17 years, taught math. And that was confining. I was stuck in the classroom. Then after that, I went on to be a math coach, which allowed me the whole school to work with. I felt a little bit of freedom from that. But then as I retired from teaching, now I'm feeling really free. I moved from New Jersey where I taught I was community
What part of
pastor.
Jersey?
Camden, I taught in Camden, New Jersey. I lived in Philadelphia. And so I moved from Philadelphia.
Did you ever visit Trenton?
No. My dad did though.
No, you just said no.
No, my dad grew up in Trenton.
Okay.
But at any rate, I moved from Philadelphia down to Florida. And I'm like, wow, I'm retired and yeah, I'm free. But then my son came along, and this is a progression. Then my son came along and said, Mom, we are not free. They're still killing us. And I said, well, Alex, that's not you. When the cops are coming for somebody, it's not you. He said, but Mom, I'm feeling it right here. And I was hearing him, but yet I couldn't fathom in my mind, no, Al, we're beyond that. But then he said, well, I'm going. And I became a travel agent, right? After retirement. And I said to myself, I said, well, if I can help other people go, send the Jews back to Israel once in a lifetime, we need to wake up and come. And then I said to myself, I said, nope, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to support my people. So then I decided to get behind my son, and that's why we're here. Now I hear freedom. Now I see freedom. Now I feel my brothers and sisters, my new brothers and sisters. This is my first time. It took me 65 years to get here. Only took my son 35 years to get here. And my grandkids, when they come, it'll take them 14. So it's shorter lengths of time, but we're learning. Can I tap into that first question? When did you learn about Juneteenth? On Blackish. How many of you ever seen Blackish on TV? That's where I learned it. A few years ago when I'm 65, my parents didn't teach it to me. I couldn't teach it to my son. So where do we get it? We got to break out of where we are. We got to come back home, as you guys say, and get the understanding. So thank you so much for celebrating Juneteenth here, 2023.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So again, the question is, what does freedom mean to you?
So when I think about freedom, I think about two aspects of it. There's free to, and then there's free from. Now, oftentimes, that's militated by power. Now, you have some people who are in power who don't mind you being free to do certain things. So you could be free to watch TV all day. You could be free to do drugs. You could be free to, be alphabet soup, LGBTQ, LMNOP. They don't mind you being free to various things. But when you say, I want to be free from paying taxes to the government that kills my people, you're not free from that. I want to be free from standing for the national anthem. You're not free from that, and you can see that with Colin Kaepernick. So I think that when we think about freedom, we can think about it like that. But then for us to really have freedom in the sense of we're free from and we're free to, that's where it comes down to how much power do we have. And as I just pointed out to you, we have a conference on Black Power. So what Black Power is ensuring that we have freedom from, oppression, freedom from, our enemies doing all the things that they do, putting knees on our neck and so forth and so on. But then we're also free to live in the land of our ancestors and have citizenship and not have to stand in line behind the one who enslaved me to get a visa extension. So that's what I'm talking about when we're talking about freedom. Free to, free from, keep it in mind when we're thinking about freedom.
So I'll be quick. Freedom to me means access and mobility. It means that I have the freedom of choice to be able to get up and go where I want, be what I want, look the way I want, and the ability to be able to be mobile. If I don't want to be in Accra celebrating Juneteenth, maybe next year I'll be in Johannesburg. Maybe when I'm done with Johannesburg, maybe I'll go to Kigali. Maybe I'll be in Nairobi. Maybe I'll be in Kinshasa. Maybe I'll be in Dakar. So freedom for me is access and mobility and me being able to get up and go. And I think that access means that I have housing wherever I want to go. So if I'm not in Accra and Osu, that I can go to my place in my car. And the ability to travel. I think a lot of us understood the power of our passport and the limitations, what happened after COVID. So I'm happy to be here celebrating Juneteenth with you all. I'm very excited that you guys are here and you guys are using your passports. You guys are making sure that you have access to space. And hopefully we'll see you guys again next year, maybe here on the continent, maybe in DC, maybe in Galveston. So again, freedom to me is access and mobility. Thank you.
And so what freedom means to me, the first thing that came was I said a prayer and asked the Spirit to speak through me. The Spirit says sovereignty is freedom. Sovereignty is what freedom truly is, because when you live in America, you can't harvest rainwater without them giving you a ticket. I didn't see it happen. You can't even have a garden too big without them coming and pulling it up. I've seen it happen in my hometown, Tulsa, Oklahoma. So sovereignty is true freedom. To be able to move in every day with the elements, with the ancestors, with all that is our life. Sovereignty is what free. That's why I chose a long time ago to leave the States, because when folks get, I'm divergent. I don't know how to, I'm gonna be free or die. Period. I'm gonna be free or die. I don't even know how to compromise. Okay? I done jumped off cliffs, ran for I done did that, been there, done that, and proved that to the Most High. I am a friend of God. So at the end of the day, sovereignty to me is freedom. When you can commune with the elements and the Most High as you please, whenever you see fit. That's freedom. Lineage growth, or lineage healing, or generational healing. Because that's what's needed in order to clear the past, in order for us to have a new thing, to do a new thing. We can't do a new thing still fighting somebody behind us who we fighting for their space and that never was for us to have.
What does freedom mean to me? After working the majority of my life in America to make somebody else rich and making them a pile of money, I have, at this stage of my life, since 1999, left the USA. My wife and I were living in Jamaica, the West Indies, not Jamaica, New York. And we learned how to live by creating for ourselves. Once you leave the borders of America, the United States of America, the universe begins to open up to you. And you begin to see things and experience things that you could not see and experience while you were living in the confines of America. So, now we are in Ghana. We are in the Volta region. We live in the country. We live close to the land. We're close to the people. We know our neighbors. We work with our neighbors. We grow food. We grow fish. We eat off the trees. We eat from the ground. So, what do you think freedom is? The ability to create for yourself and experience that life that you create. So, I don't believe I could have experienced this type of life in America. I know I couldn't. I experienced part of it in Jamaica, but Jamaica's too loud. 23 years, that's enough. But what I'm saying is, we need to re-examine what is important. Is making that big buck important, and living in an environment where you don't control anything, and people disrespect you and dishonor you every day. I mean, come on now. We have to get back to our natural selves. And we won't find that by living in a brick city somewhere. We have to have our feet in the ground, our hands in the ground, so we can contact the electromagnetic earth. It's a serious thing, you know. I make sure I walk around every day in the dirt. barefoot in the dirt.
Jeez, man.
So I can make that connection every day. So that's freedom for me.
What freedom means to me is just the ability to have a choice. Sometimes, like, when you're making decisions, I'm 21 years old, so I haven't lived as much life as some people here, but I plan to live the rest of my life here. And if I'm in the States, I don't think I would have had that freedom, you know? I think to be free from the spiritual shacklings of, like, of things in America, or just things abroad. Being here makes me feel free. It feels like I'm back where I should be. I'm half Ghanaian, I'm half Jamaican, but in the States, I didn't really know who I was. But now I know. I feel free from it.
Escape from enemy control. That's what freedom means to any other prisoner of war in the history of the world. Escape from enemy control. That's why I was saying I recognize JuneTeenth as a military achievement that we have made. But in reality, the same people who told our ancestors on June 19th, 1865, I think it was, that they were quote-unquote free, still completely controlled them on June 20th. So the question is, were they really free? If we were really free, the prisons would not be packed with our young men who have been systematically manipulated, systematically incarcerated, and systematically eliminated since 1865, since JuneTeenth. That's when the killing started. That's when they were able to rape our women for free. That's when they were able to murder our men for free. Free is also an economic term. Before the Civil War, our ancestors were expensive private property. After the Civil War, our ancestors were free public property. And we need to always keep that in mind. So freedom to me means that you escape enemy control. I would like to say something else. Could you stand up, Joanna? I'm not Amo Kentekral. I am Nkosi Hene, development chief of a town named Treaty in the Asante region. This young lady is one of the residents of Freedom. I have a team of young ladies who sell my books, and they make money from selling my books. The money from selling my books goes to painting schools. I paint primary schools for children. That's what I do. I'm a minister, the notorious Reverend J. Carl Kennedy, as I said. And my ministry is painting schools right now here in Ghana. And the money I make from the book, I put toward painting schools. So I just want to introduce you to Joanna. She's 18. I was in school in 1999, before she was even born.
But to me, and this freedom is one of those words that kind of escapes words. You know, it's one of those things that's very difficult to define, like respect, love, you know, all those kinds of things. It's one of those that's incredibly difficult to define, and trying to put words to the word freedom inherently makes it less free. With that being said, I'd say that there are many different types of freedom. And we have certain freedoms in America, but there are certain freedoms that you can't get in America. And one of the freedoms that I found here is the freedom to define who you are. In America, you got a billion labels on you at birth. And as you get older, you get to choose which other labels you want, right? You come here, and you got labels on you, but the labels are very weak. You know? Oh, brony. Whatever, right? You can shake that off. You can ignore that, right? That's not a systemic thing. They will not systemically treat you as an umbrella, right? You let that go, and you're just you. You get past the brony, you're just you. And from there on, that is up to you to decide. And that's a freedom that I feel like I've been allowed here in Ghana. And I don't want to define freedom once again, because defining freedom is confining freedom. And when you define freedom, you are actively going against the definition of the word.
We did it at the same time.
I know what I want to say because I know how I feel, and then me being a very sensitive person, I can kind of have your definition of freedom start manipulating my definition of freedom. freedom. And even what this young man was saying over here, it's like, I'm a farmer. So I had access to all those things and everything. You know, for me, when the woman was talking about sovereignty, I was like, yeah, maybe that's what freedom means to me. And if I could be really honest, maybe it's that I don't know how to say it with words. Even that this English language is so limited, but in me, I know what I want to say. And for me, I didn't necessarily feel in bondage in America, y'all. Like, I was not raised to feel this if I couldn't go nowhere and do nothing. I was in a lot of isolation, but in that isolation, I was kind of like Harriet Tubman, like I went anywhere, did anything. No one could tell me I could not do nothing. So when people start speaking of oppression, even though I know that that's real, that wasn't my experience. Even coming to Africa, you know, so for me as a spirit being, I feel like being in Africa for me makes my spiritual work easier. Because I had more access, like the elements are like, we were just waiting for you to come play with us. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. But I was just as powerful in America. If anything, America helped me gain my stripes, if it makes sense, because I had to be really forceful. So when this man right here speaks about, you know, the war tactic, I'm an Aries, so I'm goddess of war, baby. Like, I already knew that I was born into a war. No one couldn't tell me anything different. So I lived my whole life very warlike, I'm going to take my freedom by force. Like, that is just who I am. But when I'm in Africa, I think I'm more like a girl here a little bit. You know what I'm saying to you? I'm learning how to now be powerful and free and also sexy. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that in Africa, I had the ability to experience freedom in a different kind of way. But I was also free in America. My being free in America has allowed me to be here. And I don't want us to minimize how dope we really are, because when I came back here, I was sitting in the Volta region on land. Because I'm a farmer, I've always had access to land. And I cried and I said, I brought myself home. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I didn't come here through academia, no institution, nothing. Like, Spirit led me back home. But Spirit led me back home when I was in the States. Spirit spoke to me in the States. And so I get challenged sometimes having these conversations with feeling like not saying that anybody's applying this, but there's a lot of awesome things happening in America where we are fighting and moving things forward, and I just feel like it's easier here. But we're equally powerful, and I think that also, like, oppression sometimes feels like an illusion to me. You understand? Like, even when I was coming back and forth here, and they had all these stipulations and trials and tribulations, and it was like, come to Ghana, you gotta do all this, and I said, I'm not doing all those things. And just so happened that when I bought my ticket, the things changed. The rules and regulations changed because I changed them inside of myself. So freedom to me is not living in somebody else's illusion of oppression. And I can do that here in Africa or in America. It's easier to do it here, but I can also do it in America. Do you understand?
I got you, sister. I'm going to tell you how you showed me you was free. I don't even know if you know you did this.
What I do?
Just what you did. When you start talking about freedom, the way you put your feet up in that chair and sat back, I was like, oh yeah, she free. I saw it. No, but it worked because you said, I can't put it into words, but I could feel it, and I could see it on you, because you was like, oh, you were like, free. That's what you
But I wanted to say, piggyback on kind of what she said about the access here in Ghana, this being the halfway point. I don't know if the Ghanaians know this, but this is definitely a spiritual land.
Yes.
And you can get and receive downloads
Quickly.
quite easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can move on some stuff if you trust your intuition. The Wahite people know, because they be barefoot at the equator line, where the halfway point is. I don't know what it is, but they all come and flood the airport and with their planes, and they be barefoot, so they know there's some stuff going on over here. I've only been here, first time I came here was in January for the Black Star Line Festival, and it was just like on some, fun type stuff. But I started getting the downloads, and the frequency in which you get the downloads is quite powerful. So you can like really make some stuff pop in Ghana if you move on your spiritual downloads. I was thankful to have lost my grandma before I came here, I say I'm thankful because she talks to me often. And she's the one who told me to come, it's time to go. She told me it's time to go. And I'm thankful that I'm able to still have that access to her because she has a foot over in earth and she has a foot in the spiritual. So she can tell me when it's time and what I need to do. So she led me here and I'm basically here on spirit, doing what God has for me.
Do it.
It's a freedom I was born into. Come on, hey. I learned that I was black like this when I moved to America. I know I was black, but I never knew I was black like this. Like to a point that my color was an issue to me. Only when I moved to America at the age of 16. And the freedom we're talking about, it's also we need a freedom of mind as black people. Because the saddest thing I used to hear, not from the white people, from African American, go back to Haiti, that I used to really look at African American in my heart like, are you serious? Do you know who I am? Do you know who you are? Ghana is the same system as Haiti. Haiti is the first free black country in the world.
And the Constitution.
We've been paying for our freedom for the past 200 years. Haiti just finished paying its independence to Citibank 2 years ago. Haiti is one free country that remains in the world that we never colonized by anybody because we kick asses. Okay? So this is what they do to us also in the mind. If we continue looking for freedom, but we not continue to free our mind and accept us first and unite in our mind and have fun upon each other, like you better than me, I'm better than you. If we come here, wherever we from in the world, and Ghana open our door to them, I'm thinking Ghanaian needs to be part of this meeting as well, because they too need to know who we are. Because we would never be treated in the world if we don't know the history of each other. Because in our mind, we still separated ourselves from each other. It is the saddest thing to see. Like there was a beef against Jamaican and Haitian in the 1986. When I came here in United States of America, I could not drive the bus. I would have to drive the bus standing. Now we have to do better than that. And we need to learn to accept us as a people. They just took my great-grandparents and sent it to the other part of the world. They send yours to the other part of the world, but we're from the same place and have the same goal. And we need to learn to unite. First, then we will find the true freedom that we're looking for.
They can only oppress us because we're not united.
Thank you, sister. When you look at the laws that gave us freedom, they never gave us freedom. When I spoke to the press this morning in Ghana about JuneTeenth, the first thing I said is, I want to be absolutely clear. There are no white superheroes in this story. Not Joe Biden, not Colonel Granger, who's given credit for delivering the message. Not none of those people. I had the opportunity to give a speech at the U.S. Embassy on Thursday, on JuneTeenth. And the question that was asked of me is, what is the significance of JuneTeenth observance in America? And my answer was, I don't know. I said, I'm assuming it's the same significance as the Emancipation Proclamation to my great-grandfather. And it must be the same significance of Plessy versus Ferguson to my grandfather. And it must be of the same significance of the Civil Rights Act to my father. So it's kind of hard for me to imagine what it's like to be cozied up next to a warm fireplace if I'm walking through the same snowstorm as my grandfather. So I don't know. This was my answer to the U.S. Embassy. You can't give somebody like me an opportunity to speak inside the embassy and answer that question. You think I'm not going to tell the truth? We don't know what it means, what the significance of the observance means to the U.S. We know what it means to us, but we don't know what it means there. Okay? The question for you is, what now? Right? This is the question of the century, to be honest. It's the question of the century. But that's not the question that we're going to answer. That's the question I want you to think about. Is what now? What now, what next? Just let that simmer on your soul. The question that I actually want you to try to answer is, for those of you who moved here, even for those of you who visited, share one thing that you've learned about yourself since you've been here. One thing that you've learned about yourself. This sister that's raised her hand, I ran into her in Sierra Leone. So I know she'd have been in and out and around Africa. I was in Sierra Leone when she got her passport.
Actually, this is my second time here. My husband and I came in January with the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus members, of which I'm the joint chair for the House and Senate. We came here to do exactly that, to learn about ourselves. So we came back because that trip was so busy. It was so official. We didn't learn anything about ourselves. We left, came back as a family. And I have learned that I do not want to come back here as the liberals in America come to our community and gentrify it and leave our people out. I want to come back here and learn who I am as an African woman. I want to remove the colonization from my thinking, and I think I have, but I didn't until I came here. And I want to rediscover what it is for my children to have a real future as African people, where they are not concerned about colorism, they're not concerned about the police who are killing black people wholesale by way of the government, and that they're not concerned about the miseducation of the Negro any longer. That they come here and realize that our people fought for us. They taught us that they did not. Our people fought in all of these Cape Coasts and all of these dungeons and all of these villages. They fought for us. And now it is our turn to repay them. 2, I need to hold my colleagues accountable. Because Africa has been exploited from the top to the bottom for the benefit of the West. And there's no benefit to blacks on the western side of the Atlantic nor on the eastern side of the Atlantic. And we need to fix that. That is our role. And lastly, my third thing that I've learned is that just like the Jewish people who get citizenship for their family members from Israel, we deserve unencumbered citizenship as returning citizens.
What's your name again?
My name is my official name, my European name, I should say. My European name is Carol Emmons. I'm a legislator from Illinois. But my African name is Mama Agoji of the Anglo Kingdom.
Because your husband came up to me, like, remember we came with
you know, you came
with the Illinois legislature. How you doing?
Let me tell you, I'm going to put your book into my office in Illinois. And all of the Africans that come from Ghana, I'm going to get them to be responsible. Because Mexicans send money home to Mexico. But Africans in America don't send no money home. They have a responsibility as well. And so I will share that with them as well. Bless you and thank you all for welcoming us.
We're going to keep it in the family.
All right, y'all. What's up, everybody? All right. One thing that I learned after being beat down mentally, spiritually so long in the States, and I was a humble young brother from the south side of Chicago. This last trip, I learned that I'm fly.
One thing that I have learned, I've been traveling to Ghana since 2016, and Diallo and I met last year in Sierra Leone, where I received my Sierra Leone citizenship. One thing I've learned is that the resiliency that my ancestors possessed, to be able to go through that door of no return and live and ensure that I come about, I too have that. Because I've been faced with lots of challenges here in Ghana building. I'm building a house. I'm not building a house for me because you all, I've already told you I'm 65. But I'm building a house for my grandchildren. I'm building a house because I want them to have a global mindset. Yeah. I've traveled across the continent, and I have to give that not only to my children, but to my grandchildren. Yes. And what I've learned through my challenges here in Ghana is that I have patience and resilience. And that's really important to see things through here in this country. And that's what I learned.
Well, it's my name since 1982. Some of y'all was born, maybe a brother up there. And I have been living in Ghana since 2020. As soon as they opened the borders, I was online, ready to go. I'm your friendly, retired UPS package car driver. And one thing I've learned since being here is that we as diasporans, we have an opportunity to make a difference. And I got an opportunity to do just that in 2020. I gathered my Facebook friends. I jumped on board with a fellow, with a Ghanaian in the city of Afghanistan. And within 2 years, we were able to build a library where there never has been one before. And 98% of that funding came from our Facebook family. And why were they so eager to help? Number one, we gave them a visual of where their money was going each step of the way. We showed them, this is where your money was correct. And this is where your money is going, and that's why we were able to do that within 2 years. We put in Western style bathrooms, and last year I was able to go back because I didn't want to deal with GoFund. When I did go back to California, I took my computer everywhere that I was invited. I had a video made. Again, people were willing to give, and we were able to have a borehole drilled on the campus where the bathrooms can be utilized. And the water, the surrounding communities are privy to that water. So I learned early that we, as diasporans coming back, we may not have a lot of money, but we have a lot of contacts, and we have the ability to make a major change wherever we find ourselves. Afghanistan is a very small town. It's in the cut, central region, just outside of Montesino.
My name is Raymond. I was lucky enough to come here in my formative years. I know that a lot of you guys are coming here after living a lot of your life and deciding who you already are. But I'm here creating myself as, I'm going. So what I found is that I don't need all the identifiers, all the labels, light skin, black man. I don't need all of those things to tell me who I am. That's first off. Second off, I found that in my ethnic group, the African Americans, we have a lot more power than we admit. We have a lot more power than we take accountability for, and we need to be doing something. That is the second thing I learned about myself.
All right. So what I learned about myself is that my body, it reacts different to being in Africa than over in the States. I get sick less here, my skin is better, I just feel better mentally and inside. I feel better on the outside, I think differently. So I I just like being around people that look like me. I love it, actually. I love being around people that look like me. I love seeing black businesses. I love all of it. I'm just so grateful to be here. Like, I'm shy a little bit too. But yeah, and also I learned that like my body is sacred. Like, I didn't learn that in America. I didn't learn that I'm a goddess. I felt like I was treated like a normal person. I was treated like basically nothing, but I'm royalty when I'm over here. You know what I'm saying? I'm a black queen. Like, yeah, and I love that. Because I knew it was so much more than me than just working a 9 to 5, going to school. Like, over here, I feel free. I feel like I can express myself in a lot of different ways, and I'm just so grateful. And I'm proud of all y'all for making it here. Y'all should clap for yourselves, for real. Y'all did it. Y'all did it. I know that's right.
Yes. Anybody else? I'm shocked. Brothers and sisters all over this God's world. And it is so good to meet you all. I love you like my natural brother and sister more than anything. I am so glad I'm here. Because it took me 65 years to get here, but hey, I've got another 65 to go. So thank you guys. I love you.
It's going to sound really crazy. What I've learned about myself since I've been here is that I'm really American. Like, seriously. Like, I think, oh, you know, please, I've been traveling before you needed a passport. I've lived here. I've lived there. I've done this. I've been African-centered. I know this, that, blah, 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 blah. All these things, right? I've lived exclusively in Caribbean communities for more than half my life. All this stuff I thought I knew about myself, about Africa. And then I get to Africa, first Tanzania and Rwanda and Kenya. Then I get to Ghana. That has been in my spirit for more than 2 decades, at least 25, 26 years. And all the things that I thought I knew about Ghana and Ghanaians and the Akan people and the airway people, I didn't even know God people existed. Now I love them. But anyway, all the things I thought I knew, I got here and realized I don't know. I don't know it. Like, I'm straight up American when it comes to certain knowledge of Africa, of the culture that I thought I was practicing in Brooklyn, of everything that I thought I knew. Most of the things I thought I read was written from somebody's perspective that came and visited, probably was here. All of that. Now that I'm 2.5 years in, I'm like, oh, you got a lot to learn. Every day, I'm learning something. Every day I'm learning something. But I know I'm circling back and I'm going to give the mic. But when we talk about freedom, like, I've always felt a sense of freedom. But I'm an empath. And I'm also the ex-wife of a black man. I'm the mom of 2 black men. I'm now the grandmother of a black boy. I'm the sister of 3 black men. I'm the daughter of a black man. So for me, even though I'm free and I rest in my feminine energy, and even if I'm in East New York or the South Bronx, I'm treated like a queen. Here too, I'm treated with respect because I feel like I carry myself. But I don't feel free because the men in my life, the men that I love, are not here.
That's a real thing.
My one desire is that my sons at least can experience this freedom.
That's right. Come on.
When I see this man is my son's age, my oldest son's age. When I see young brothers come here, your nephew, like these young men, and they can just be men, not black. They're not a threat. They're not walking across the street in their hoodie, and somebody is locking the door. And they don't look suspicious. They look like young men. And they're living and they're free. I want my sons to experience that. So for me, I'm not free until the men in my life can experience that.
Thank you. We're going to take 1 or 2 more.
And honestly, so I came here because a friend of mine was also coming here because we were like, chilling in the house together, trying to do the, group thing during the pandemic. So he kept coming over talking about Ghana. I'm half African American, half Caribbean. I had honestly never even heard of Ghana before. I heard of Guyana. I thought maybe they were trying to say Guyana, So honestly, when I first came here, especially, you know, culturally, my background, I was having an identity crisis, like full on quarter-life crisis, identity crisis. Like I used to be in the driveway crying because I'm like, when we first came, we were living like out near Coxswa, up in the mountains. You know, it's beautiful, but there's nobody here, you know? And all the people that are here, they don't understand me. Like, they don't understand who I am, like, trying to talk to people, like, most people didn't speak English, or they don't see that, like, they don't speak or understand the type of English that I'm speaking. So I felt very, like, isolated, like, literally. It was hell. But throughout my time here, the biggest thing that I've learned about myself is to kind of piggyback on what your nephew was saying, to how to strip away all these labels, and learn that I had to be secure in who I am in order for people in the outside world to see who I want them to see, if that makes sense. So like, we're surrounded by people who, like the kid that my son used to play with, I thought she saw me as like a homie or a friend, and she see me as some rich white lady, and she brings me somebody to like, oh, I have a house cleaner. Like, I'm 29, like, I don't have money for a house cleaner, I'm a single mom, like, what? You know, so just like, the most important thing that I've learned is just that outside of who other people say you are, all these labels that people put on you, like, you are the person who gets to define who you are and how you tell your story, and, you know, even who you will become, like, you know, and too, just like the inspiration that I've gotten from coming here, like, because I'm from Atlanta, I come from a place where, you know, there's lots of people that are thriving and doing Black businesses all over the place, but like, to really see like the hustle that Ghanaian women have, like, don't nothing inspire me like that. Like, you see women working with their babies on their back, you know what I mean? And like, to be young and like I've had to do that. You know, like, it's been times when I used to do like Instacart back in DC, you know, my son was right there in the top of the buggy, you know, with me shopping. When I go and do GoPuff or DoorDash, my baby right there, you know? And the most inspiring thing for me, and the thing for me, like, when I came, I was like, I want to show other young women who feel like they're being suffocated in America by all the responsibility and all of the like oppression systematically, like, you know, even just poverty can be like a crime there. So when I came here, it was really with the goal of like, I want to show, like, if I can do this, I want to show other young women in the hood, y'all don't have to do that. Y'all don't have to stay there in a place that's being shot up, or where you don't feel like your kids can play outside, or where you're not safe, or where you're surrounded by poverty. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I lived on Glenwood before we came here. Like, most people don't even know where that is, but it's the hood. It's the real hood. Like, people be scared to go over there, you know what I mean? And it's like, to come from that, and my son goes to one of the best private schools in East Legon, and you know what I mean? We live in a much better neighborhood, and it's like, this is the freedom that I want other young women to feel and experience. So I think the biggest thing that I learned about myself in coming here and being here is just how important and essential that is to me, and how much I want to empower other women to also learn this about themselves too, if that makes sense. So that's my
That was powerful. That was powerful. So what I'd like to do, get to the microphone.